In the headlines, Abuja-Kaduna train services set to resume end of November, Minister announces. Troops kill bandits leader in Zamfara, harvesting farmers' produce. NCC set to auction another spectrum for 5G deployment before end of 2022. And away from Nigeria, Ethiopian government and Tigray forces established telephone hotline following truce. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thank you for joining. And now the details. Kano to Maradi Trans-Saharan Rail Line project is conceived to boost trade relations between Nigeria and the landlocked African countries. Nigeria's Minister of Transportation, Muazu Jaji Sambo, made the clarification at a news conference to showcase the scorecard of the administration, just as he decried lack of formal treaty between the countries to leverage opportunities provided by the multi-billion naira project. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman reports.
Buhari administration. The Transport Minister enumerated the Deep Blue Sea amongst other projects in the maritime sector.
The President commissioned the Deep Blue project in June 2021, and we are proud today to inform Nigeria and indeed the world that since the commissioning took place, there hasn't been a single reported case of piracy in Nigeria's exclusive economic zone.
Unprecedented rail modernization, including the Trans-Saharan Kano to Maradi. He says the project, amongst others, will boost the nation's economy and facilitate trade relations between Nigeria and others up to Europe if completed.
Niger is supposed to continue from Maradi up to its border. The next country, which is I think Mali, will take up, and then Algeria will take its own. And before you know it, you can move your cargo from Lagos to Europe by rail, and cheaply so.
While assuring the restoration of the suspended Abuja-Kaduna shuttle service before the end of this month, the Minister of Transport also told newsmen that comprehensive plan has been made to guarantee a 24-hour surveillance of the rail lines to ensure safety of travelers.
The minister should be able to sit in his office and look at the rail corridor and see what is happening there. The president should be able to do that. The Director General of the SSS should be able to do that, and so on, and all other security agencies. These are the measures we have put in place.
The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, who moderated the session, reiterated that the Buhari government has made giant strides in the area of critical infrastructure, far above any other administration. There are, however, growing concerns on the huge borrowings the government is embarking upon to realize these projects. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, 3 persons were on Monday reportedly killed and 3 others injured in an early morning crash along the Ibadan-Lagos Expressway. The Public Education Officer of the Ogun State Sector Command of the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, Florence Ope, in a statement attributed the possible cause of the accident to excessive speed. The accident, which involved a Toyota Sienna, was said to have been brushed by a speeding tanker. The injured victims have been taken to a nearby hospital for medical attention, and the corpses of the dead victims deposited at a morgue. FRSC Sector Commander in the state, Ahmed Umar, commiserated with the victims and advised motorists to shun excessive speed. The troops of the Nigerian military attached to Operation Hadarin Daji have neutralized some terrorists at Yartashar village in Maru local government area of Zamfara state while trying to harvest farmers' produce in the village. The military personnel also killed a bandit kingpin, Bada, who was reported to have attacked the village market and killed some farmers before he started harvesting their produce. The Director, Defense Media Operations, Major General Musa Damadami, who said this in a statement issued on Monday morning, explained that the troops recovered 1 motorcycle, some weapons and other valuables from the adversaries. Madami said that troops have been charged to maintain the same tempo in denying enemies of the country the liberty to bring the nation down, calling on residents to avail troops with credible and timely information on criminal activities. The senior military officer also disclosed that the troops responded to bandits' attack on Gamraki village, Kwatarakwashi district of Bunguru local government area of the state, where they engaged the terrorists who had kidnapped 2 locals. A high court sitting in Shandam local government area of Plateau State has seized 3 vehicles from the former chairman of Shandam local government area, Isaac Kwalu, which were said to be properties of Kwampan local government council. The seizure of the vehicles followed the court judgment delivered by Justice S.D. Samchi on November 3, 2022 in Shandam, after a suit filed by Kwampan Local Government Council against 4 accused persons. The accused are the Chief Registrar, High Court of Justice, Plateau State, Chief Bailiff, the High Court of Justice, Jos Plateau State, Attorney General, Plateau State, and Honorable Isaac Kwalu, who were the first, second, third, and fourth defendants respectively. The court in its ruling granted all the reliefs sought by the claimant, adding that after reviewing the case, the court held that by virtue of ownership documents attached in the said case, the vehicles are the bona fide property of the council. The vehicles recovered from Honorable Kwalu include a black Toyota Prado Jeep, a silver Ford Ranger, and a white Toyota Hilux spec van. The Central Criminal Court in London, United Kingdom, has moved the trial of Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu over alleged organ harvesting from May 2023 to January 31, 2023. The Old Bailey agreed that arguments will be heard on the 16th or 19th of December 2022 before the commencement of the trial in January. Ekweremadu and his wife Beatrice were arrested on June 23rd and charged with conspiracy to traffic a person for organ harvesting in violation of the Modern Slavery Act 2015. Though he was absent from court on Monday, his wife, who was released on bail in July, and Sonia, the couple's daughter, were present. Last week, Justice Inyang Eko of the Federal High Court, Abuja, ordered the interim forfeiture of Ekweremadu's assets following an ex parte motion by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Now, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwoola, on Monday swore in members of the Election Petitions Tribunal for the 2023 general elections at the National Judicial Institute, Abuja. Having administered the oath of office on the members of the tribunal, the CJN urged the judicial officers not to treat their assignment with levity, warning that he will not tolerate any form of judicial recklessness. The exercise kicked off a 4-day capacity workshop for the justices and members of the tribunal to end on Thursday. Those in attendance at the event include the President of the Appeal Court, Justice Monica Dongbang Mensem, Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Mahmoud Yakubu, as well as justices of the Court of Appeal. Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike says the 5 governors of the People's Democratic Party are bonded to save Nigeria. He said nobody can break the ranks of the 5 PDP governors who have continued to insist that Iyorchia Ayu should resign as the national chairman of the party. Wike noted that because the governors remained dogged in their demand, people have made several efforts to break their ranks but cannot succeed. In addition to Wike, the other governors that make up the 5 are Samuel Otom of Benue, Seyi Makinde of Oyo State, Okeze Ikpeazu of Abia State, and Ifeanyi Ogwai of Enugu State. The Rivers State Governor spoke at the new banquet hall of Benue State Government House, Makurdi, during a dinner on Sunday night organized in honor of the G5 by Otom. Presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has said that money ethnicity, or religion should not be allowed to influence the outcome of 2023 elections. Obi said that as a successful businessman who has not stolen public funds, he can fix the country. Peter Obi, who was responding to an inquiry on Trust TV's interactive program, 30 Minutes, spoke extensively on how he made his money, his track record as governor, lack of structure to propel his candidature, and what he intends to bring to the table if elected Nigeria's president next year.
When I was declared governor of Anambra State, naturally, I have assets, I have investments in the UK. What I needed to do was to put those assets and investment into a trust. Because the law said to me, you're no longer allowed by law to operate an account. You're no longer allowed to be employed to do any other job, to be employed by another company.
Right.
So all this ceases. But the law didn't say you can't own what you owned before. What it said is that all those things needs to be. So for me, because they were owned, the company I operated was owned 100% by a company in Nigeria, I put all those assets in the UK into what you call a trust. Call it blind, call it open trust, but it was a trust company and say, keep this.
Now watch out for the full interview on Trust TV today at 7:30 p.m. You're watching the news update on Trust Television. Coming up shortly, we'll take a look at why minimum wage is never enough. Details of this and more after the break.
That's great.
Welcome back. It's the news update on Trust Television. Here's a reminder of our top stories again. Abuja-Kaduna train services set to resume end of November, Minister announces. Plus, troops kill bandits leader in Zamfara, harvesting farmers' produce. Elsewhere, a retired permanent secretary and the Wazir in Katsina, Senator Ibrahim Ida, wants the federal government to reform the civil service to enable it to address contemporary challenges. He stated this in an interview with Trust TV in Abuja. The senator is hopeful that with the needed reforms, the service will be better positioned to handle the evolving task involved in carrying out its mandate.
I have the background of civil service, and I know what civil service was and what civil service is. And I know during our time we had a lot of our.
Now, since the National Minimum Wage Bill was signed into law for implementation nearly 5 years ago, civil servants in Kano State say that their fortunes have not changed for the better, looking up to the federal government for another review in the next 1 year. In this report, Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibrin reports that workers say that the current high cost of living is making it difficult for the minimum wage to sustain an average worker.
Babangida Inwa is a civil servant in Kano who earns 30,600 naira a month. But with the high cost of living eating deep into his earning, he's wondering if civil service will continue to be his way forward. Over the last 5 days, Babangida says he has been waiting for salary to buy the little he could for his family, but the salary has not come yet. My salary is 30,000 naira. Once I buy 1 bag of rice, it's finished. Therefore, other things like children's health, school fees, nothing for that. Not only 1 bag of rice. Even if I'm buying maize, 30,000 naira will not buy 2 bags of maize for me, which means the whole salary cannot sustain me. According to Workers' Union in Kano, most civil servants are still suffering despite the implementation of the national minimum wage. The price of food items have gone high, which makes it even difficult for low salary earners to meet up with the demands of their families, even with the 30,000 naira minimum wage.
How much is a bag of rice presently? I think is if you buy even a bag of rice, it can split even the 30,000. So that is why he said government is looking at ways where it can enhance the salary of Nigerian workers. But even if that is not done, I think from 2019 to date is almost 4 years. So if you see that by next year, the new national minimum wage law provides that the minimum wage of this country should also be reviewed according to the provision of the law.
Meanwhile, workers say that despite the minimum wage, some local government areas in Kano are yet to fully implement it, another problem creating tension among government workers.
The minimum wage is not fully implemented, especially at the local governments. Okay. We have been discussing with the labor and the government cycle on how to complete the minimum wage. The minimum wage at the state workers is complete, but those at the local government is halfway implemented. Okay. But still we are discussing with the state government to make it complete as they did it at the state.
While the national minimum wage bill provides that the worker's salary be reviewed after each 5 years, workers in Kano hopes that the review in about 1 year from now will help bring relief to their long years of hardship. Idris Jubrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC) is set to put up another slot of spectrum in the 3.5 gigahertz spectrum band for auction before the end of the year 2022 to boost the deployment of fifth-generation services in parts of the country. This was part of deliberations when the management of Media Trust Group visited the executive vice chairman of the commission, where both organizations agreed to further expand and leverage existing relationships through the engagement of additional services. Trust TV's Aisha Salihu reports.
At the interface with the management of Media Trust Group and the Nigerian Communications Commission, there is a consensus that the role of media cannot be overemphasized in disseminating information to the public, as well as building partnerships for mutual benefits.
But we always use the media in order to provide information to the public. We wouldn't have been able to do it, no matter how powerful our Directorate of Public Affairs is, because you have what it takes to reach out. Absolutely. We don't have that reach. Okay, so we appreciate the very, very important work the media is doing, and in particular, the very, very important work that Daily Trust is doing.
The executive vice chairman of the commission informed the Media Trust team of the first action turnout of the 5G technology, which the commission is set to action again, with promises of substantial network improvements, higher connection speed, mobility and capacity, as well as low latency capabilities to communication services in Nigeria.
Now commercial 5G services in Lagos, as we speak. MTN has launched 5G commercial services. And we've spoken at length about the usage scenarios, ultra reliable, low latency applications, very fast. Okay? And then we talk about driverless cars, machine-to-machine control. Okay? Even though those are applications we do not expect to see, but what we have started with is the enhanced mobile broadband services. You know, I'm sure when you eventually enjoy the 5G experience, you'd be surprised at how fast, you know, you're able to, you know, access the internet as well as download a material, you know, from your internet. The speed has gone, you know, much higher than we know it, you know, of course, at affordable cost.
The deployment of the 5G technology is to act as a catalyst for smart cities in the country and a platform for the creation of jobs that support the digital economy as stipulated by the National Policy on Fifth Generation Networks. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
We'll now take a short breather, and then when we return, the news update continues. Join us again.
This is the road leading up to the Lokoja Bridge from Abuja, and as you can see, tankers carrying fuel, trucks carrying livestock, perishables, and commuters trying to make their way from point A to point B have all been slowed down as a result of the flooding going on in Lokoja.
As I tell you, so my house is inside water like this.
This is my house. This Grizzly is my house.
We have no option than to come here and look for what we chop.
This water have really spoiled many things. Even as I'm talking to you, I'm not in my own house.
I want to encourage them and assure them that their governor, the governor they elected, had come to see them, and government officials have been going there to see them. They are not in this alone. We are with them.
Welcome back. You're still watching Trust News Update. Now, away from Nigeria, the Ethiopian government and Tigrayan forces have established a telephone hotline following a truce struck last week. The African Union's chief mediator, Olusegun Obasanjo, said on Monday, as both sides meet in Kenya for talks on implementing the ceasefire. On November 2nd, the federal government and regional forces from Tigray agreed to the cessation of hostilities, a diplomatic breakthrough 2 years into a war that has killed thousands and displaced millions. The truce has raised hopes that humanitarian aid can start moving back into the region where hundreds of thousands face famine. Representatives of the Ethiopia's government and forces from Tigray are in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi, to discuss how to begin implementing the ceasefire, with the talks expected to last 3 or 4 days. According to an official familiar with the talks, the hotline will address any flare-up in fighting and coordinate disengagements with both sides, recognizing the challenge of fully communicating with all their units to stop fighting. The Tigray People's Liberation Front, the party that dominates the region, pledged to disarm their fighters fully within 30 days under the agreement. And in sports news, Liverpool have drawn holders Real Madrid in the last 16 of the Champions League in a repeat of last season's final. 14-time winners Real Madrid beat Liverpool 1-0 in last year's final in Paris thanks to a goal from Vinicius Junior in the 59th minute. Real Madrid will face Liverpool for the fourth time in 6 seasons in the Champions League last 16. Premier League champions Manchester City face German side RB Leipzig, while Tottenham battle Italian giants AC Milan. Chelsea also have German opposition in Borussia Dortmund, and elsewhere French champions Paris Saint-Germain have drawn Bayern Munich. The last 16 first legs will take place on 14 to 15 and 21 to 22 February, with the second legs on 7 to 8 and 14 to 15 March. And that's a wrap on the news update. You can watch more via all our social media platforms. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thanks for watching.